Thank you. Our Cabinet Secretary, and allow me just to say, all protocol observed, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Professor Charles Ongondo, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. I want to take the first opportunity to welcome all of us here. Waziri, this is the government institution that is charged with the responsibility of developing, reviewing, and approving all academic programs for schools and other colleges below the university level. We also have the responsibility of evaluating all curriculum support materials, be they print, visual, or audiovisual, that will find their way into our classrooms. Because of that, we are one way or the other related to what you do here. Because if you look at our curricula right from pre-primary level, you will find elements of small and microeconomic enterprise and other related knowledge, skills, and competencies included. Besides what we do by law, which I've said, we have conference facilities, and I'm happy that you have chosen to come and host this inaugural conference here. You're always welcome beyond this session to come and exploit what we do, and especially you can exploit our Edu channel, which is a television channel. They're one of the few held by the government to be able to pass information that you need, especially to learners and other sectors of the society. I think with those remarks, Waziri, asante sana kuja huku na umekaribishwa tena. Thank you.
On your appointment as the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Cooperatives and MSMEs Development. And so thank you for accepting really to come to be our chief guest this morning, despite a very busy schedule. And a round of applause for Waziri. Really, your presence here and that of our distinguished guests makes this day very special to KEPSA and very memorable to all of us. So as KEPSA, we are really delighted and you're welcome to this inaugural KEPSA annual SME conference, awards and exhibition, which actually starts this year to eternity. So every year we'll be having this SME conference, but it will happen in the month of June when we celebrate SMEs. So allow me to celebrate each and every one of you for coming, and turn to your neighbor and say thank you for coming. So today we come together under the theme Unlocking SME Financing and Scaling Up Innovations for Accelerated Growth. This is a theme that strongly aligns with our collective mission, I believe ourselves, all of us, to cultivate and vibrate and flourish the SME sector in this country. KEPSA is an apex umbrella body for the private sector in Kenya, and we bring together local and foreign business associations, federations, chambers of commerce, professional bodies, corporates, including multinationals, large, medium-sized enterprises, which also includes SMEs, startups from all sectors of the economy. We have 80 associations and professional bodies, over 1 million business locally, and serve as the national focal point of the East Africa Business Council and International Chamber of Commerce, with a reach of 45 million businesses globally through ICC, that ICC Kenya is a member. So we enable these businesses speak with one voice, and that's why you see our mandate is the voice of the private sector and other stakeholders on cross-cutting policies, laws, and regulations impending private sector development. We also bring together in the implementation of programs that ensure the socio-economic development of the country. So we really want to confirm, and I want to ask again the next person who is sitting to you, next to you, whether they are members of KEPSA. Don't worry, we have a response. We will know how to deal with those who have told you they are not members of KEPSA by the end of the day. So we'll have our team members here. They'll give you a membership application form. And today, the board has allowed us to have a discounted rate for startups. 10,000 bob per year. So fill in the membership application form. We look forward to embodying you to KEPSA membership, and for you to become part of the boys. KEPSA supports businesses with opportunities for training, networking, financial linkages, mentorship and coaching, access to markets, value chains, and investment opportunities with many partners around the world, and I'm sure some of you can attest to those programs that have been happening. So this conference really serves as a pivotal platform for discussing the challenges and opportunities facing the SMEs, particularly in the realms of financing and innovation that has been very key. Access to finance remains one of the biggest handles for SMEs, and you all believe that. And today's discussion will explore innovative solutions to bridge this gap. The emphasis, of course, of scaling up innovations, especially in the emerging technologies, cannot be underscored. Innovation is not just about new products, but it's about new ways of doing business, new partnerships that you create, and especially even from here, and new strategies to grow your business. So we will also touch on access to markets with the aim of continuous growth of SME ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, we've outlined various objectives of this conference, which we are looking at even at launching the SME financing gateway to allow you to link to the financings. We'll also be showcasing the most innovative ways for SMEs available in the market. We are providing a networking and collaboration opportunity for you. So please, when you get that business card, ensure you utilize that contact within the next 24 hours. If you do not reach out to me by giving my business card, you reach out to me after some time and I've forgotten. But also to facilitate a policy dialogue to generate actionable insights and recommendations that drive SME financing, innovation, and positive change at the ecosystem levels. So with the wealth of this session and activities that we've lined up today, I strongly encourage all of us to actively engage and discuss and connect with one another. We are glad that the chief guests have been able to visit quite a few of the exhibition, and you'll also be doing that as he exits, so that you are able to network, see what is it your neighbor is doing. From the keynote speeches that we have to the panel discussions, every session we can attest to you and assure you it offers a very unique experience for you. So our chief guest, we have the award session, and we'll be requesting you to come later on to award different categories, having run an innovative challenge last year. And we highly anticipate the launch of MSME financing gateway that we are also going to invite you to be able to launch after your speech. Finally, allow me to draw your attention to a very exciting pitching session will be in the afternoon. This represents a prime opportunity for innovative solution, and we'll be showcasing from the young people, the startups here, what is it that they are doing. These sessions will be very encouraging, so we encourage you to keep up throughout the day. Looking forward, KEPSA remains committed to supporting SMEs through continuous advocacy, capacity building initiatives, and fostering conducive business environment. We encourage you to stay connected with KEPSA, but we can only leverage on this and leverage on the opportunities if you are a member. So I want to encourage you again, don't leave this room before you become a member of KEPSA. So I urge all of us to embrace the opportunities that we've presented today. Let us work together to unlock the full potential of each and everyone here in this room by driving forward the economic growth and innovation of this nation. As I wrap up, I really want to extend our heartfelt appreciation to all partners and stakeholders who have made and contributed to this occasion and made this event possible. And our MC has been gracious to run through all of them. Just know, really, really, we appreciate you. So together today, we will lay a groundwork for continued growth and collaboration in shared goals. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for participating. We look forward to a day filled with fruitful discussions and meaningful collaborations, with a promise, if you stay on until 5, there's a goodie for each and every one of us as we leave this room. So I want to congratulate you and wish you a very fruitful engagement today, and God bless you.
Terry, can you hear me? What about now? Good. Well, good morning again. Honorable Wycliffe Oparanya, Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry of Cooperatives and MSMEs, Karel Karaoke, CEO KEPSA, invited guests, all businesses present, ladies and gentlemen, I feel privileged to speak to you today, not only as a champion of MSMEs. By the way, that is my regular day job. I don't know how many of you know Safaricom is actually 3 different business units. There is what we all know that we subscribe to as individuals or in our homes. It's Safaricom and many of our retail shops. There's M-Pesa, which many of you know because you use that daily, I hope. And then there's Safaricom Business that I represent that is responsible for supporting business and government. So it is literally my day job and several of us that are sitting here in this audience. So as a representative of both Safaricom and Safaricom Business, our existence as a company is to be a purpose-led company, focused on transforming lives and giving back to the Kenyan community and privileged to being amongst the leaders and innovators and champions here in the room today of SMEs. So I'll just make a few comments about this scope of MSMEs. Representing 30% of our GDP, employing over 14 million Kenyans, contributing nearly 80,000 jobs annually, and literally the majority, over 98% of the businesses in this country. So SMEs are literally the backbone of the Kenyan economy. But the future of these businesses growing and thriving demands a shift in how we think about their growth and sustainability. The hope for millions, you hear how many are employed, nearly a quarter of our economy. It depends on our ability to help SMEs realize their potential and move beyond the traditional support to reimagine what's possible. I'll just give you a few nuggets of what that future looks like. 70% of new value created, which is how businesses create value, will be done on digital platforms, digitally created platforms. SMEs must adopt and be part of this ecosystem to thrive and grow. And it's not just about keeping in track with global trends, lifting and shifting what's worked in the Western developed nations and planting it here. What has worked there might not work here, and this is part of the work we as Safaricom do. It's not just about taking the big tech companies, the Microsofts, the Googles, the AWS, taking that, packaging it up maybe with a cheaper price and saying that it works here. Because the context in this continent, in this country, is different. The technologies have advanced. Competitive landscape is different than when many of these technologies have been created or in the context in which they're curated. The expectation of consumers is different than when many of the companies that are now big, giant global companies started. For us to thrive and grow from SMEs to future global large companies, we will have to create and tailor solutions that address the unique challenge of African SMEs. Safaricom Business just started a webinar, series of webinars, part of our commitment to training and enabling SMEs in this country. We started about 3 months ago. It happens every month. And in our vision, it was about helping businesses be able to digitize, start to play in a digital economy, and then start to build the capacity and skills that would be required. So we've had 3 installments. The first installment was, do you even have a website? Do you have an email, or are you using Gmail? You know, if you want to have credibility and businesses to be recognized as a serious business, there's some things you have to invest in, some fundamental basics that don't even cost much. So we started, the first one is have an identity. The second one was start to build a brand. And then my team said the third one is going to be about AI. And I was telling some of the guests in the room here, when the team said we're going to do one of AI as the third thing, I was very curious. Which SME is thinking about AI as a big issue or a big problem? Because what do we normally hear about? How do we get money? How do we access markets? How do we build technical expertise or expertise in our area of business? I didn't think AI would bubble up to be an important topic. I was wrong. We received 5 times the interest from SMEs interested in understanding about AI than they were interested in understanding about getting an email or getting a website. What it's telling us is SMEs are yearning and are ready for what are the solutions that I need to understand as a business. What are the solutions that will help me grow my business faster? And I acknowledge I don't know. And if AI is the ticket because that's what's all the rage and what's in the news, then I want to know and hear about that. Very successful seminar. I'll use this moment to shamelessly plug. These seminars are conducted every month. The next series will be in Mombasa, I believe next week or the week after next. So make sure that we have your names and contacts so that we include you, including yourself, Bwana Cabinet Secretary. We look forward to seeing you at that next seminar and all the ones following. So we have to build sustainable and resilient business models, and it's also not just about an ethical choice. For many large companies, we think about sustainability and talk about it a lot. But to stay competitive and grow, SMEs need to act now to invest in practical, sustainable practices that reduce cost and boost efficiency. What COVID taught us, what the financial market collapse taught us, is that we must continue to invest in sustainable improvements and prioritize things that allow us to be sustainable and resilient to tolerate shocks. We must optimize on energy use. We must manage waste better, and we must source locally. It's to this point I want to bring up one quick point about the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. This is an agreement that all 54 countries on the continent have agreed to come together to operate as an economic and trade bloc. This can serve as a game changer for many of our SMEs. It was ratified in 2021, but still in 2024, we're still organizing and planning and defining how Africa can operate as an economic bloc. Africa represents over 1 billion people. It is the combination of United States and Europe together. It's what the Chinese economy is, but we have it right here on this continent. To make this a reality, there has to be true focus to facilitate trade and to make it a reality to access this market. This is the infrastructure development, this is the capacity building in member countries, and as well, it's part of our economic security not to mortgage our future by securing the future of developed countries. Many of us as small businesses are in agrarian business, whether it's avocados, which is the latest craze. Many of these countries are sourcing these raw materials, taking them out, and then selling us the finished good inputs at significantly higher prices than we have sold. This will keep us in economic servitude forever. We must continue to secure our future and not mortgage it. The untapped potential of youth is extremely important. Kenya's youth is a unique advantage in an aging global economy, which increasingly relies on external markets to grow. In a self-sustaining economic bloc, we must prioritize youth and skill development. It was fantastic to see some of the small companies out there today. I'll just name a few: Chirpy, HealthX, Black Rhino, Faidi. Us supporting these companies is extremely important as part of our future growth. I'll just make a few comments on what we Safaricom are doing. We have invested in conjunction with Sumitomo and M-Pesa Africa on Spark Accelerator Fund. Spark Accelerator Fund is a fund that provides guidance and support, access to capital, technologies, and coaching to help small budding companies to enhance their growth trajectory. Mr. Cabinet Secretary, we need many of these accelerators. Safaricom, M-Pesa, and Sumitomo are supporting 9 this year. We need 900 or 9,000 more of these companies to go through such funds. Our greatest resource as Kenya is not oil or avocado growing or acquiring land, which I have a particular taste for. It's our people and investing in human capital. It's essential for building businesses to be able to innovate, adapt, and grow. Imagine an Africa where every entrepreneur, imagine Kenya where every entrepreneur has a world-class education, shifts from imagining potential to concrete actions and outcomes. M-Pesa and Safaricom 25 years ago were just but a thought. Today, we're operating in multiple countries across this continent. We must embrace risk, learning from failures, and it may take 1,000 good ideas to get to one breakthrough idea. Safaricom and M-Pesa are such examples, and I'm sure there are many in this room that will continue to support and grow. Enjoy the conference. Please tap into Grow with Safaricom Business. Look into the Spark Fund Accelerator program that is running that helps businesses become the champions of tomorrow. Thank you.
Safaricom PLC, Madam Cynthia Kropak. All protocol observed. Good morning. Good morning once more. My name is Mr. Yatich Kipkore, representing the CEO. I'm the Deputy Director, Enterprise Development at Micro and Small Enterprises Authority. We are here today very glad because we've been invited by Kenya Private Sector Alliance because our main business is MSMEs. And we've discovered that as much as we are working very hard, we still have a lot because these Kenyans seated here today are very innovative, they are very hardworking, they just need to be brought together just like what Kenya Private Sector Alliance has done today. They have brought all voices together. Thank you very much, KEPSA. At MSEA, our primary work involves promoting and regulating SMEs, providing dispute resolution services, fostering entrepreneurship, encouraging innovation, and offering registration services to associations and umbrella organizations of MSMEs. As of August 7th, 2024, MSME Authority had registered 56,206 groups and associations, including 53,693 hustler groups and 1,613 MSE associations. Our data shows that we have reached 2,125,098 MSEs, including 1,260,857 hustlers and 749,656 other collaborations. By engaging this number, we have demonstrated a pivotal role in supporting diverse entrepreneurship endeavors. We have implemented projects at Micro and Small Enterprises Authority. One notable one is the Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project called KEOP, which supported 97,420 direct beneficiaries at a tune of over 3.5 billion shillings in startup grants dispersed. Additionally, according to independent tracer studies, a critical measure of KEOP impact is the significant increase in employment rate post-interventions. KEOP increased employment rate among beneficiaries from 26% before the project to 96% after the engagement with KEOP, while incomes grew by 42% on average. Looking ahead, we are coming up with another project by the name National Youth Opportunities Towards Advancement Project, abbreviated as NYOTA, covering the 47 counties of this nation. and we'll be supporting 110,000 direct beneficiaries with an anticipated total impact on 800,000 individuals. You are welcome. In addition, we have established 182 constituency development industrial centers, popularly known as CIDCs, in 182 constituencies in Kenya. We've not covered all. In the new act that we are currently coming up with, we'll be naming them enterprise development centers. And we have 400 Juakali work sites which are operational in Kenya. Furthermore, Micro and Small Enterprises Authority has played a pivotal role in affordable housing project, which is part of the bottom-up economic transformation model. And we, as part of presidential directive and Kenya Kwanza government initiative, we are getting subcontracts for the registered MSMEs across Kenya where affordable housing is, and we have secured those projects in regards to woodwork and metalwork, fabrication of the doors, windows, and so forth, and currently going on in Kenya. In phases, because it has not happened in every constituency in Kenya, but those constituencies that already have the affordable housing projects, we have secured the subcontracting there. Furthermore, to bolster our support for MSEs, we have established one center in Nairobi, Kariobangi, which is a center of excellence, and have plans to set up 8 additional centers of excellence in the country, which are hubs for MSMEs that will make businesses be competitive in the market. As approaches of unlocking SME financing and scaling up innovations for the accelerated growth in Kenya, which is today's theme, and in quest to fuel Kenya's economic transformation, unlocking financing avenues for SMEs and fostering a fertile ground for innovation stand as pivotal strategies, propelling the nation towards accelerated growth and development. And we have the following very few items in that regard. One is that one of the most pressing challenges faced by SMEs seated today here is access to finance. Despite their critical role in the economy, many SMEs struggle to secure the necessary funding to start, sustain, and grow their businesses. Inadequate financing hampers the ability to invest in new technologies, expand operations, and compete both locally and internationally. Therefore, developing a robust financial ecosystem tailored to unique needs of SMEs is essential for the growth and sustainability. 2, microfinance has emerged as a viable solution for SME financing, providing small loans to entrepreneurs who may not qualify for traditional bank loans. Additionally, alternative funding options such as crowdfunding, venture capital, and angel investors offer promising avenues for SMEs to secure the necessary capital. Third, innovation is a key driver of SME growth, and by leveraging new technologies and innovative business models, SMEs can enhance their productivity, improve their competitiveness, and access new markets. We have numerous success stories of SMEs that have embraced innovation to scale up their businesses. Fourth, continuous learning and skill development are crucial for the success of SMEs. At MSEA, we offer a range of training programs and workshops tailor-made to small businesses' needs, covering various aspects of business management, financial literacy, and technical skills. Lastly, private-public partnerships, PPPs, play a vital role in supporting SMEs. Successful PPPs have been established to provide SMEs with access to resources, markets, and expertise, just like what we do in affordable housing. And in conclusion, the Micro and Small Enterprises Authority is dedicated to promoting the growth and development of SMEs in Kenya through various initiatives, partnerships, and projects. and we aim to create the enabling environment for SMEs to thrive, and we are open to collaborations. We will support Kenya Private Sector Alliance. We will work with Kenya Private Sector Alliance because they are bringing all voices to one accord in Kenya, and we will always support, and you feel welcome. Thank you very much.
Great. You know, SME energy should be very, very strong right now. The Honorable CS, Oparanya, and I will cut short my time in terms of saying all protocols observed. All of you are distinguished. If you are sitting in this room and you're an SME, you are absolutely distinguished. So thank you all for coming. I had a very long speech to talk about and a keynote address, but I think we started off a bit late, therefore I'll try and cut myself short. However, I just want to say one thing. Buenos dias. We know that you are newly appointed. You've been 2 weeks in the office, 1 week was induction, and this is your first week of operations, and you're already talking to SMEs. So, well done. Let's give him a big hand for that. And I was having a chat here with Safaricom and saying, Safaricom, digitally enable him so that he can start doing this with many more SMEs on a one-to-one basis, or even make conferences and really make this thing happen. So I think you're hitting the ground running. Well done for that. But actually, you know, I want to say I'm standing here in front of you and I feel very related to you, because 36, 37 years ago, I was an SME. And me, myself, my brother and my father started doing things and saying, while in university here at USIU, I said, let's start a project. And the project was to say, let's look at this value chain of cotton and textiles and go into the value chain. And I know how it is to be an SME. And I tell you what, I'm so glad for every one of you, because in our time, there was no internet, there was no digital, there was nothing. We used to go to the office just to collect our messages and do correspondence, right? And we get our messages, or we call people, or we write letters to them. And you know what snail mail is, right? We write a letter, it gets there after a week, after 2-3 weeks you get a response, and that's the way. Today you're sitting in an age where, thank you Safaricom and thank you Airtel for giving us the bandwidth available here, where you can get an instant thing done right now. You get a response within hours. If you don't get it, you send another message and say fine here, and you solve issues very fast. And I just say that, you know, when we were there, we had very many other issues. We had no market access. Believe me, when we started off our first plant here, the Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda borders were closed. Do you know that? The borders were absolutely sealed. You couldn't get anything across. And today, I want to say one thing. You're sitting, I just came back from Arusha yesterday, and I can tell you one thing. You're sitting in a place where we've got the entire East Africa market. Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, DRC, South Sudan, Somalia, we're all in one common market called East African Community. And you have free access to all these markets. So I just want to encourage you. I know the topic today is unlocking finance, financing landscape in Kenya. But I just want to say, when you look at financing, financing will get unlocked if your vision and your goal is far bigger. You need to have a very clear goal and a vision to say, I am starting today, but you know I've got a lot of runway, and I can take off on the runway, and I can go places if I really have a vision to say, where am I going? Whenever you take a flight, do you know your destination, or you think, I'll discuss it halfway? When I get on the flight, I'll see where to go. How many of you would have a destination before you took a flight? How many? How many? Everyone, right? So the point I'm driving at is, as an SME, I just want to encourage you to say, I need to know my destination, or where am I going? Even if it is 5 years, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, where is it? And I would suggest make it big, hairy, audacious, because you know what? You have an amazing landscape today. Why am I saying this? Because first thing, you got the internet, that's now a given. I think that's given, so we all work from screens. Am I right? How many of you would not work from a screen or not look at a screen? You've also got a free university called YouTube University. It's for free. And there's so much how-to things in there. I can tell you, so many SMEs have come to me and said, I learned it on YouTube and I did it. Right? How many of you use AI? artificial intelligence. How many of you have used it? So, if you haven't used it, I just met a farmer, just now, while sitting here. 3 weeks ago, she went on to ChatGPT and got details of how to do farming and whatnot, and she got, within a day, she got the full plans of the farm, she got the details of what to farm, how to farm it, including what to do in crops. And she was sitting next to me in yellow. I'm just saying that it is so much more possible with AI today. You can leapfrog. You can leapfrog. And I can tell you one thing, you can do things much faster. For us as a company, I can tell you, I see all you SMEs as becoming as big in the next 5, 10, 20 years. For us, it took 35 years to get there. For you, it could probably take 5 years. And that's what I want to encourage you to say, fine, we can do it. I wasn't educated overseas. I'm educated here, Kenya, Jamhuri High School, High Ridge Primary School, and then of course USIU, and I'm here. But I'm just saying it is possible to do it in Kenya, and I think we can leapfrog. In fact, I want to say one thing. M-Pesa was invented by Kenyans in Kenya for the world, and we took it there. But, and I say this openly now to government, we should blame ourselves for not keeping the IP in Kenya. By IP, I mean intellectual property. We lost it to Vodacom, we lost it overseas, and that's the big folly. I want to cut my speech short in terms of saying there are many opportunities of financing. I think if I went through my whole speech, there's new things called crowdfunding, right, on digitalness right now. A lot of you can do crowdfunding, right? That's one of the innovative ways of looking at how to do it. And again, it's not about its ease of doing business. There's so many ways of doing it. That's one, right? Number two, I think we can look at a thing called peer-to-peer lending, right? There's a lot of lending happening online right now, and digitally you can actually get that. There are advantages, disadvantages. I can send them across and look at that. But there's also something else called invoice financing. How many of you know what invoice financing is? Yeah, some of you know that, right? The point is, a lot of the excuse my language, a lot of the banks who are probably sponsors of this conference also, they go the traditional route of saying, give me collateral. Collateral means give me a house, residence, or some asset which I can mortgage and then give you money. An SME is coming up and saying, I've got an idea, I've got a brain, I've got a brain wave, and I think this idea can work, I can make it work. No real estate, no nothing, right? So how do you do that? And that's where the whole concept can come in to say, fine, now let's go and look at collaboration. Collaboration amongst you. 4 or 5 or 6 of you can come together and say, fine, let's start this together. And that's one thing that I've faced in a lot of youngsters where they say, I want to do it on my own. I don't want to join with anybody else. And I don't want anybody else to steal my idea. When your product is out in the market, your idea is already public. So what are you going to hide by saying, I won't share it? But sharing it with people and saying, let's start this together, you could actually have, if 5 people got together with 5 ideas, if they shared it, each one would be richer by 5 more ideas, and you can collaborate and do a lot of stuff. In innovative financing, I think there's so much more in supply chain financing. Supply chain financing means you get an order. So supposing any of the big companies, including Safaricom or Bidco, whatever, you got an order from them, you can take it back and say, get financing based on that. That's another innovative way of unlocking finance, because the entire hedging you're doing is on the collateral from that order. Number 2, I think equity financing. A lot of people operate as private equity or equity financing. They give you some share, startup capital. We don't have that here, and I think Bwana CS, we're happy that you're here. We need to start that whole ecosystem in Kenya of angel funding, including venture capital, and also taking it to round 1, round 2, round 3. It started on a small way, but a lot of our SMEs don't have access to that. Can we get that going and really make that happen? I was commenting earlier that, when we came in here, the CS planted a tree, right? When we planted we planted a seedling, right? And we put the seedling into the ground. I said, nurture it, right? That is what I would say is an SME. An SME is where we take the seedling, we put it in the ground, and then we nurture it. We put soil, we put water, and then we give it fertilizer. We wait for it. We make sure nothing harms it, right? For a few years, and we talked about, after 5 years, that tree is going to give us fruits. Some give you after 3 years or 4 years or whatever. That's an SME. Can we nurture them? And this is where the regulatory system And this is my recommendation to government. The regulatory system needs to come up with something radical to say, let's go and remove all legislation, all regulation. I'm not saying remove the registration or whatever, but remove the charges, the cost and fees that we are supposed to pay for licensing and starting up. And I think this would change a lot of things. We could put a figure there and say, until your turnover reaches 100 million, I think that's a good figure, or 10 million, get to that figure, whatever we agree on. Up to that point, you are exempted from all those issues that affect business or industry to start up. Once a tree has grown and it started to fruit, then let's harvest there. Because every single company that makes profit in Kenya, the government is a 30% to 35% shareholder in corporate tax. So can we make sure we nurture them and really get them up? Otherwise we'll be, we're charging heavy taxes, heavy penalties. And I tell you one thing, there's a penalty we pay for being a startup or being an SME, is your 48 to 50% to 100% interest cost per annum. If you annualize your rates, you realize, you say, you're probably paying very low rates. We need to make sure that those rates are competitive. Now the traditional banks are also charging about 20 to 25% interest rate today, but SMEs, a lot of people without collateral, are probably paying 2%, 4% per month. 2% per month is 24% per annum. 4% per month is 48. No, it's not 48. It's 48% per annum interest rates. But it's not a problem because I'm getting it right now. I've got instant cash and it's out. I'm sorry, Fuliza also gives you loans, but probably they charge you 1% per day. That's 365% per annum. Yes, you top up the next day or the next 2-3 days, but is that not a penalty? Anyway, I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying that that's one of the things, that's the penalty that we pay. But there's a lot of new things about hybrid financing. There's a lot of things we could look at that. But my speech would more be about encouraging you. I just want to tell you, we talk about East African community, but 2 weeks ago we have signed on to something called the tripartite agreement. The tripartite agreement brings in COMESA, East African Community, and SADC, the South African Development Corporation, which is SACU, into one common area. That means now, once that is agreed and ratified, we've approved it, we've signed on to it, that will open up our markets and our exports to South Africa, included up to Egypt to South Africa. The whole region will have free trade. Now you can wear specs or lenses that says that is doomsday because we shall become a supermarket for products that come in from those markets into our markets. Yes, we will. But it's an opportunity, and I want you to see the specs of opportunity and say, this is serious opportunity for us as SMEs to be able to say, I can now send my goods or my services across to the entire Africa. And the minute we think that way, we need to get out of this, sorry to say that, we need to get out of this county thing, and my county, from one county to another county, I'll charge a tax. These taxes, levies, we are removing for the whole of Africa. Why are we adding them for Kenya? My advice is really, Bwana CS, thank you for being here. Thank you for being new brain, new ideas. Let's revolutionize for SMEs and say, fine, guys, open up, become bigger, and then grow to become Africa leaders, right? And that's possible to do. All we need to do is change the regulations and say, fine, for SMEs, they have an exemption. And one more thing, compliance. I'm not saying not be compliant, fully compliant with everything, but let's not charge them anything for being compliant. Digitalness. Thank you. Digitalness should not have any cost to it. In fact, why do we do emails? If you were to say, oh, every email you send there'll be a 5 shilling tax. Why? We don't need to send taxes on digitalness. In fact, make digitalness, I'm not advocating for Safaricom, but whatever you use, let's make sure digital has got no taxes, and therefore our SMEs leapfrog to that. And really, make sure they're all registered. And I would say, insist on one thing, everybody be registered, only then you get exemptions for all this. Which means you become compliant. We want to be compliant with KRA, but we want to make it easy for everyone to operate and to really make sure we nurture the seedling that we make into a tree. And then we get the fruits from that. So I just want to say that as advice, because I think the innovation, I think we saw it in the exhibition, the innovation in our people is amazing. And lastly, the entrepreneurial spirit that we all have. And I would say clap for yourselves because you are really amazing. And You all have that. We all have that here in Kenya. And I tell you, we operate in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and we export to 17 countries. But I've seen that Kenyans everywhere can do a lot more. And they can do more. And I've seen many more people who are doing a lot more across. Our diaspora is doing amazing stuff. So why not our Kenyans? All we need to do is nurture them, make these seedlings into trees, and really help them to become even better. So a supportive ecosystem in financing, a supportive system that really makes the regulatory burden that we have, reduce it. Therefore, they're now working on where's my market, who's my customer, and I give more customer service than just file my tax returns. Because filing tax returns before you've even started up and you have 20 licenses there, I want to say one thing. Those licenses don't add value to the SME. They're just there because you paid 500 shillings. You pay 500 shillings, you get a license. What did they do? That county official or whoever did not add value to my business. Can we have value adding, which is one, and single license, single permit, but no cost? Yes, regulation, because I'm insisting that everybody is registered, known, so that Safaricom or whoever can give you far better business services, right? So I'm not advocating for non-compliance. Comply, but have no cost. Today, sorry to say this, even on e-citizen, we're putting a convenience fee. For what? Why? It's digital, for God's sake. I'm paying Safaricom for bandwidth. That's enough. Sorry. Again, not only tax exemptions or waivers, but again, simplified regulations and levy waivers. Many more innovative levies. Excuse my language here, I will be controversial here. We have 349 MPs sitting there passing in very funny laws that will tax you on every single thing. Yesterday I saw a law on copyright. For this event, we should have paid 30,000 shillings for holding this event because we are using a public address system. Every one of you will have to pay. Any party you keep at home with music, 30,000 shillings to get a permit. What is this? Where are we going? Anyway, I'll end here. But I think by reducing barriers to letting these people grow, let's make sure. Now, you planted a seedling today, you put it there, and then you put a tree next to it, which is overlooking it, cutting off the sunlight. Let's not cut off the sunlight. It needs sunlight to be able to nourish itself. So I think let's do that one thing. So that's for government, but also for financial institutions. Can we make it easier for people to really access finance? Right? I know this resonates very well because we all struggle with heavy cost of burdens of financing. But let's also look at our, we don't say haki yetu, we say wajibu wetu. Wajibu wetu ni nini? To do the right thing. Therefore, if I take a loan or whatever, I make sure I will repay and I'll service the debt, because otherwise I don't stretch myself. I've seen a lot of businesses taking debt, and they think now I'm good. But it's all on debt. Let's make sure we repay it, because all they do is take from here and then repay here, take from here, repay here. I think it's what government's also doing recently, so we have the same thing. But I just want to end on this note to say, listen, everything's said, and I want to say this very strongly here. We are in Kenya, we're in an amazing place, we have market access, we have demand, we have everything that we need to do, right? It's not a lost cause. So do not think because of siyasa, because of protests, allow protests. In fact, I went to Arusha and I told them, we allow protests on the streets. It's not allowed in any other East African country. We allow that. So we are in a democratic country, which is amazing. And still we're able to dialogue. So I just think that SMEs, proud to be one and proud to have come through that route and seen how difficult it is, but really it's our job now to say, let's simplify it for you and let's make that happen. I think KEPSA here helps in a big way to really get this done and move it. I think there's a lot more that being done. However, one thing that I want to say is you need to come together and have on common causes very articulate lobbying, very articulate issues being tackled, and I think the government will then listen to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah? Of course, if you've walked the journey, you'd be more excited. And I'm sure 30 to 35 years from now, we'll be hearing more speeches like those ones of charged SMEs that are sitting in this room. But let me first recognize our chief guest, Honorable Wycliffe Oparanya, the CS. of the Ministry of Cooperatives and SMEs and Development, and good to start working with you again. The last time we worked together was actually when you were governor, and then, but before that, when you were the Minister of Planning during the coalition government, and so you know what it takes to plan. And so this is a sector that has always had challenges in planning, and so you know you bring the order that is needed in the planning. But for me this morning, my excitement is actually to see all of you, to walk through the exhibitions and see those innovations. And for me, I just feel we are at that point where we are like a flight, ready for takeoff, and we must take off. You know, and if not us, then who? So we must be the ones who do this. And so mine, I'll really go very fast because of time. We'll leave the information because it's good for you to see the journey we have walked, but also what is available for you. You know, we've heard from Safaricom, we've heard from MCEA, the things that they're doing with SMEs, but there's also, we've heard from an SME that has walked that journey with less than what we have today, you as SMEs. But also we also have walked the journey as KEPSA, and 70% of our membership is actually SMEs. You know, many times you see a few people like Vimal standing up there, but you don't know behind them is a whole 70% of our membership. We have over a reach of over 1 million, actually about 2 million members, but 70% is SMEs, and that gives us the passion of why we must do this work. And one of the challenges we've heard, which I know the minister will be addressing, is information. SMEs just don't know where to find information. And this is a big challenge. And I'm inviting all of us, even Safaricom and others, on how we can partner to get that information. But not just information. I think one of the things, for me, the delight, and maybe a week ago, I was in Rwanda. And many times you go to Kigali, you see the cleanliness, you see the order, and you think, maybe just Kigali. Then you travel the rest of Rwanda and see the same. And for me, I cannot wait for a day. And I realize our challenge is not that because we don't want to be organized, we don't want to be clean, but it's the spaces we need for working. You know, we need to be able to create those places where we can have our SMEs be able to do their work, to have the markets, to have industrial parks that are just for SMEs, because with all these facilities that we're talking about, but also so that people who are supporting SMEs, who are seated here today, and others who are not in this room, and ourselves can find you. You know, when people are trading on the streets, on the roadsides, on the highway, it's hard. How do we support that person? You don't know if you're going to find them there tomorrow. You know, they're not registered, you know. And so for me, the challenge to the government through the CS is that can we organize our SMEs from Mama Mboga to everyone else seated in this room so that they have proper working spaces, so that first we can clean our cities and our country, as we are the champions of environment. Our president is an Africa champion, and we have to demonstrate that. But secondly, so that you grow. I don't think today, Vimal, if you are operating on a roadside somewhere, you'd be 35 years where you are. You know, it's because you had a space, however little, to operate from. And that's what I would like to see for all our SMEs. I want to drive in this country, every small town, and find our SMEs in places they work and not on the roadside. But let me take you a little down memory lane, because sometimes when we tell you this is what we are doing, this is where we've come, maybe some of you ask, but what have you been doing? And we do two things at KEPSA, which were mentioned by earlier as we started this conversation. One is the policy side of things. You know, and I'll mention some of those and that journey that we've come, but the other side is the programs, because once you've done the policies and you've done the legislations, then the next thing is to implement that work, and we do that through the programs. And so I'll go very briefly on some of the policies. Today you had MCEA speaking here today, and MCEA was created because we championed a bill which became an act called the Micro Small Enterprise Act 2012. A very hard job. And if I stop here for a minute, when we traveled around this country trying to put that act together, we came across not 1,900 SMEs, 1,900 SME associations. Made it impossible. If you move to the agriculture sector, you'd find like another 100. We moved to trade another 100, and it took us time to start putting that together, because as long as they are that fragmented, you cannot work, And so part of this bill, why we wanted it to come together, was to start organizing that. And that's what led to the authority and also the MSEF, which is a Micro and Small Enterprise Fund, because we said the biggest challenge for growth for SMEs was that, and we hope that journey we can continue to work together. But the second one that we did in 2012 was a business regulation bill, and this was to resolve conflict within the regulatory bodies established by the Acts of Parliament. Parliament will enact so many different acts, but sometimes they conflict with each other. And the whole idea of the business regulation bill is to really deal with that conflict. Then we did a review of the Limited Liability Partnership Act, which shifted the liability of a partnership firm in the event of insolvency from personal property. We've seen people being auctioned, not because of personal loans, but business. But how do we separate that so that at least your family can be left with dignity even as you lose the business, because the business you can always start again. And this was the whole idea of the Liability Partnership Act. And then Companies Act 2015. By the time we were looking at this, our last Companies Act that we had been using had been in existence for 50 years, despite the growth that we'd had as a country. And so being able to register a company, including proposal of a one-person company registration. As an SME, it's so hard sometimes to, Vimal had his father and his brother, but how many can start a company with their brother and their father? Very few in this room. So sometimes you can only start by yourself. And so the whole idea of this Companies Act was to enable us. And as I see many of you here today, I know you're doing solo businesses because there's a Companies Act. And then the other one was the Business Registration Service Act, a framework to give more effective and efficient administration of at least 11 laws that were regulating businesses. As I said, there are many laws that regulate businesses. And then the movable property security rights to establish an equilateral registry to ease credit access. And one of the others I could mention as I go through, and I will not go through all of them, is establishment of credit guarantee scheme. And we played a pivotal role in the establishment of this. And this happened around COVID. So sometimes when there's a crisis, is the best time to do some of these things. And then establishment of the small claim courts, so that at least if you have a claim, a dispute over Kenya shillings 1 million, within 60 days, you can reduce the length and cost of addressing that issue, instead of going to the whole court process that you used to go, and you're an SME, and all you're dealing with is less than 1 million shillings. And then the establishment of the SME division in KRA, so that you don't have to go through the processes, because what hinders SMEs from registration is the processes of KRA. You cannot understand that long process. And we said we have to have a division for SME. So none of you seated today cannot be registered in SME, in KRA. And when you're registered, sometimes you think you're just paying tax. But when you're registered, you have more.
Morning, everybody. Morning. So sawa. Nasikia sauti ya Wakenya. Rose Mwaura came to my office when I had just come in. As you have been told, I've been in the office just last week from Wednesday and this week. So she came to my office last week on Thursday when I had just come in. And then she told me that I should come here to be a guest speaker, officially open this conference. Then I asked her, there's this man who used to be chair of KEPSA, and I could not remember the name. Yeah? Nikasema, huyo mtu wa mafuta. She could not get it. So I said, it's okay, it's okay. So I come here and I meet Dr. Shah. Because when I was Minister for Planning, 2008 up to 2013, we used to have a round table meeting chaired by the then Prime Minister Raila Odinga that time. And we used to be part of that roundtable conference. We used to have it monthly, and we could come up with ideas. As a planning minister, I used now to capture them slowly. When I go to the cabinet, I tell them, this is my idea. Kumba, I've got it from him. It is interesting that I have met him, and it is through him that we came out to this SMS authority. I was asking the representative here, who represented the CEO, where is the CEO? Then he told me the CEO has been called to State House. This is what I'm going to stop. This issue of people going to State House. What is the CEO going to do at the State House? Instead of coming to a very serious gathering like this one. So hiyo ndio mimi sasa nitasema hiyo mimi sitaki kusikia, kwa sababu mimi ndio cabinet secretary wa kwenda State House. Iko mtu mwingine tena. I have also decided that from next month, I will have also SMEs roundtable. And it will happen every month until I leave that office. I'll talk to Shah here, Dr. Shah, plus Karaoke, the CEO of KEPSA, which people should be attending those conference, the roundtable conference, so that we are able to come up with ideas that can help you people, isn't it? I hear taxes are everywhere. But I think taxes now we are sensitive after what happened. That happening also helped me to be appointed. This Karo Karaoke, the CEO of the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, KEPSA, representative of government institutions who are here and the private sector, civil society, and academia, business community members, representative of development partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored to join you here today as you launch the inaugural annual SME conference, awards and exhibition, tagged Unlocking SME, Financing and Scaling Up Innovation for Accelerated Growth. I am informed that this event will also provide a platform to celebrate and recognize outstanding innovations by SMEs and the enabler who have contributed to their success. I am also pleased to be part of this gathering that will launch the SME Gateway, a digital platform aimed at bridging the gap between SME, financial institution, and business development service providers. I wish to take this early opportunity to commend the leadership of KEPSA for organizing such a significant forum that has brought together all the players and stakeholders in the country's SME sector, including representatives of government institutions, private sector, civil society, and academia. Your presence here today underscores the importance of your roles in the growth and development of the nation's SME sector. It is a testament to your commitment to supporting the aspiration of our SMEs and fostering a vibrant business ecosystem. I am pleased to note that over the years, KEPSA has remained committed and always at the forefront in improving the overall business climate, supporting SMEs growth, and promoting Kenya's economic development agenda. I am particularly impressed by your efforts in advocating for policies that support the growth and competitiveness of SMEs. Your initiatives have created a conducive environment for business to thrive and contribute to our nation's development. Ladies and gentlemen, micro, small, and medium enterprises are the backbone of our economy, contributing significantly to employment generation, innovation, and GDP growth. The sector plays a catalyst role in driving inclusive and sustainable economic development in Kenya while creating positive social change. SMEs are the largest employers in Kenya, providing jobs to over 80% of the working population. As we are all aware, SMEs, particularly in the manufacturing sector, has the potential